everybody. Thank you for coming, everyone. Month of Tevet we have sponsored by Elon and Jenny Englenoff, Liluy Nishmat Avraham Chai ben Yosef Shimon. This week is sponsored by Michael and Phyllis Miller in memory of Mordechai Nachman ben Chaim Meir, by Michael and Cindy Levy and Josh and Marilyn Adler in honor of the birth of their granddaughter, and by Daniela and Yoni Berg in honor of their precious daughter's Ora Hallel's first birthday. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be quick recap of what we were learning. Was it last Thursday morning? Yeah, last Thursday morning, of this beautiful piece from Rav Kluger that I believe really helps us stay focused on what we're looking forward to. And in times like this, we got to remember what we're looking forward to, like more than ever, because it's so easy. It's just easy to lose control of the wheel. It's mamash easy. You feel like we're all driving, and we just feel like every single second there's another distraction. There's another meshugana on the road that's trying to get us off the road every single second, you know. No, it's kind of like.
Well, we're only laughing because we had.
Oh, that actually happened to you on the way here. Yeah.
The other thing is, Paul Simon song. I get all the news I need from the weather report. So before you get to the weather, they say Hutar L'Pirsoum. I'm like.
Yeah. That's why we have to stay. Us that are here, we have to stay more focused than ever, to make sure that we understand what the root, what the reason, what the purpose of this battle, any return home to Eretz Yisrael is all about. And like we began speaking about last week, it's to achieve the concept of Shalom Bait. What type of Shalom Bait? Between the Guf and the Neshama. The greatest form of Shalom Bait that there is. The most important form of Shalom Bait that there is. So on the page that you have in front of you, we're on Daf Kuf Daled, and we're going to just repeat again, Yael, this is yours. So we're going to repeat the... Okay? Yeah, so we're going to repeat just the last thing that we were learning. And again, this whole avodah, this whole learning that we're doing, I don't know any person in the world that says, I don't really care about shalom bayit between my body and my soul, between my guf and my neshama. I'm good just guf. Well, I know people that act like that, you know. I'm good with just guf, meaning just worrying about my physicality. And you have chaver that say, I don't care about anything physical, but thank you, but I'm just about neshama. Both sides in this world, neither of them work. Because if Hashem wanted just one of them to be, then He wouldn't create it in the form of a body and a soul. And all of our struggles, all of our complications, all of our agony in this world is really on trying to understand how to make Shalom Bait inside. How to bring Shalom Bait, how to bring harmony between the Guf and the Neshama. And of course that we are much more developed, we are much more advanced in many ways today's day and age, with access to healing our body in a holy way, and also with healing, I don't like to say healing our neshamas, because I don't think the neshama ever needs healing, but the neshama needs to feel like in this world, it's running the show and it's working together with the guf. It's working together with the guf. I would say in a nutshell, like that's basically everything the Baal Shem Tov wanted to bless the world with Am Yisrael with, is creating this harmony and balance between neshama and guf, between body and soul. Now we can talk about this on many different levels, but the way that Rav Kluger has been driving us so far is explaining to us that this is what coming back to Eretz Yisrael is essentially all about. And last week we learned, Rav Kluger had explained, that the guf is going into the body, that the neshama going into the body is likened to Am Yisrael, which is the neshama, going into the body, which is Eretz HaKodesh. But it could only be b'shalom if each part is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And perhaps why it's been so difficult for so many years to feel shalva, serenity, to feel things are stimming, things are moving forward, things are meshing, is because there hasn't really been yet, there's been many attempts, but there hasn't really been yet a true merger, a true harmony between the body and the soul. And that's why our prayers right now, our tefillot for our giborim and giborot, these the greatest heroes of our, I don't even know if just our time, maybe of any time, these Giborim that keep on giving their lives for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what does it do to us? It does to us if I'm not physically doing the Kiddush Hashem the way that they are. That means on a soul level, I have to really be'emet lehit alot. I must go up. I must figure out a way to crack through all the bilbulim, like we said before, and by my staying focused and realizing why I'm working so hard on being here, Bezrat Hashem will provide the greatest harmony between the goof that's fighting and the soul that's fighting in this world, to bring about a clear picture as to what we're doing here. Well, the greatest example we ever had of this was when we came back to Eretz Yisrael, but even a little bit after. Yeshua comes into Eretz Yisrael, Yesh et Kibush Haaretz, Chalukat HaNachalot, the Shvatim, the Chulei. However, when does the body and the soul really like experience this oneness? Later. When? Beit Hamikdash, Shlomo HaMelech, in time of Beit Rishon. And that's what we're going to be learning today. So you see the paragraph that begins, Nityashvu Yisrael be'artzam le'avda u'lehatzmicha. We resettled in our land, to work the land, to make it grow, legaresh oivim, to kick out all of our enemies, velatat metziut shel Yehudi al admato, and to plant a reality of a Jew on his adama, of a soul in its body. Again, when we say a Jew on its land, it means a soul in the body. That's what it means. That's how we're going to be looking at this whole thing. Asku b'Yerusha v'b'Yeshiva. We began dealing in the time of Yeshua, like we said before, about Yerusha, Yeshiva, Kibush v'chiluk, milchamot v'shalal, wars and whatnot. And then we began to hikimu batim. We began to, we're on that, what daf do you have in the Sefer? I have a different, Kuf Dalid. Kuf Dalid. Hikimu batim v'nat'u karamim v'sadot. We built homes, we planted vineyards and fields. Kach hechela neshama shmemit להתעסק בארציות ובגוף כפשוטו. That's how a heavenly soul began to deal with artziyut, with this world, with the land, with materialism, kipshuto, simply. You know that there's these, I think that you've heard certain stories about it, maybe it's happened to you in your life, that when you found your Rav, your Rebbe, your soul master, your teacher, your guide, at that moment, what happens is not that you feel like, wow, now I don't have to do anything. On the contrary, it's that now I can do anything. Meaning it doesn't remove you from saying, I have to lit'asek ba'olam. It's on the contrary. When you meet that which which speaks to your soul, it's not just that it speaks to your soul, but it gives space for the physical work to be implemented in this world. So many people, like when they've had that first meeting with their tzaddik, it's not like they say, wow, now I just have to sit back and meditate. La'efech. Now I can actually do the asiyah, but in a way that it feels right. You know, we have descriptions of meetings like this. I'll give you two examples of like a neshama going into a goof through the meeting of a tzaddik. You know, we have a very clear description of how Reb Nassan met Rabbi Nachman. And you remember that first Friday night they spent, he was with them in Breslov, he left Rabbi Nachman, he was walking around through Breslov, and those of us that have been there could very easily relate because the visualization, Breslov still looks it looks the same thing. Besides a few, hot spots by Reb Nassan's kever where now things like are a bit developed with like Breslov pizza shops and stuff like that. Everything else in Breslov looks exactly the same. And Reb Nassan spent that night, Friday night, walking around Breslov, screaming, in Breslov burns a fire, burn it in my heart. What does that mean? It means I know here that this is the calling, this is the place, this is the headquarters where my soul can now begin to feel at home to do what I'm supposed to be doing in this world. Another very good, beautiful description we have is when the Rav Nazir met Rav Kook. There's a very beautiful description, I think we learned it once, when the Rav Nazir during World War I met Rav Kook, and he also used the lashon of saying, like, I basically found everything that I was looking for. But when I find what I'm looking for on a soul level, the point over here is that it means that now all the artziut, all the physical stuff can get done as well. It doesn't exempt us. Lahefech, it puts the context of how things can go, can move forward. That's what we're here for in this world. If Hashem wasn't interested in our avodah artzit, He would have kept us in Shamayim as neshamas, or He would have created us as angels that have nothing to do with, fixing of artziyut. But when we came back to Eretz Yisrael and we started working with land, planting things, that was the beginning of a soul called Am Yisrael feeling right, feeling nachon. Nachon, largish nachon. You know what that means? Like to feel right. To feel mechuvan, to feel, yes, this is aligned. Yeah, that's a good word. To feel aligned. So that began in a very powerful way with the avodah that we started doing in the time of Yeshua. But really, that was just the promo. Because you think Beit Hamikdash was a place that just had to do with soul? Well, essentially, yes, but via what? So he explains here. Si ha-yichud, that means the highest oneness, ben Yisrael abriya, ben guf leneshama, ben neshama leguf, between the body and the soul, hitbate betoch binyan beit habchira. It was expressed through the Beit HaBechira. That's another name for Beit HaMikdash, which we're going to speak about at length. Why is the Beit HaMikdash called that the home of choice? That's really what Beit HaMikdash is called. Beit HaBechira, the home of choice, the headquarters of choice. You can already think about it. It's very deep, but you could already see where we're going to go with this. Sham alta artziut lashamayim. That's when this worldness went up to the heavens. נשחטו בהמות והופשט אורן, הוקטר בשרן לגבוה ונזרק דמן. That's the place where animals were sacrificed. Their skin was removed. Their basar, it's very descriptive here. The blood was thrown. These are all very much not what would seem to be soul things, yet they're the most artsy things. These are the most this world things. Slaughtering an animal, removing its skin. Hekter basar, zrikat dam, throwing up its blood, pouring its blood. Lesham huv'u slaltot u'perot, yenot u'shmanim, fruits, waters, wine, and oils were brought there. Menachot u'nesachim u'bikurim, v'gam nitan tafkid l'mayim atachtonim. And even there, a role was given for the lower waters. You know what that means? What reference is that? Simchas Beis HaShoeva, where you would even use water and have a whole simcha with the lower waters. That's not to get into it right now, but it says like the greatest simcha all year long in Beit Hamikdash was Simchas Beis HaShoeva, where they would draw water from the shiloach and come and pour it on the mizbeach. And everyone wonders, like, it's so funny because usually what would you pour over there? Wine. Now, wine, you can understand why that would bring simcha. Yet the greatest simcha was when the most mundane thing in the world, which is water, was poured. Because the way he's explaining it here is that the greatest joy in the world is when I take even the most simple piece of what keeps me alive in this world, and I say, this is also brought up to Hashem in an avodat Hashem. Like anything can be used. Anything should be used for making this world more beautiful. Everything physical had a place in Beit HaBechira to help create harmony between the guf and the neshama. B'makom hazeh nitna mashma'ut lezahav u'le'argaman. In this place, meaning was given to gold and to, how do you say argaman?
Crimson.
Yeah? Crimson. Okay. Kesef u'nechoshet, to gold and copper, to silver and copper. Leyofi, to beauty. Lechavod u'letif'aret. The Beit Hamikdash was beautiful. It was glamorous. It was gorgeous. It was exquisite. And all these things are things that we use, terminology that we use for guf. But dafka there, that's where it was in harmony with our souls. Letolat hashani velashesh, le'even agazit ve'la'adama, hachai im hatzomeach ve'adomem alu im hamedaber. So the four elements that we have, right? Chai, domem, tzomeach, chai, medaber, right? So he says here, the chai, the living, with the tzomeach and the domem, that with the inanimate, went up with the medaber, with the human being. Hayehudi, si habriya, liot nachat ruach l'Hashem yitbarach. Everything came in harmony to bring a word to Hashem. What's that word? Nachat. To bring nachat to Hashem. Now every single korban, it says lereach nichoach. It brought this fragrance of bringing Hashem nachas. Like when, think about it in your life, and B'ezrat Hashem, it should be like this for many years. What does it mean that your children give you nachas? What do you think? Like, what does that mean? That they do what you. If nachas means that they keep on doing exactly what you tell them, Atzlacha Rabba. That's not nachas. That's maybe like I don't know, luck. no, luck. But nachas is when there's all the elements that they're thrown into their life, all the variables in their life that they're thrown. You know, all the different pieces of life that come through, being thrown at them, whether it's emotions or just intellectually struggling, or not just anything, and yet somehow they hold on to themselves and they discover themselves through what they're going through. That's nachas, right? That's nachas. Nachas isn't doing everything right. Some kids do everything right, and it's not, and there's still such distance between the parents and the children. They can do every single thing right. It's not that's not what brings nachas. Nachas is when I see my child has so many things in their bag, and as much as I try to shelter them and prepare them, there's always that girl on the bus, or there's that teacher that says the comment that you cannot believe Misrad HaChinuch actually hired a person like this. Or whatever it is, all these different things, and yet they hit'alu me'al zeh. They somehow are bigger than getting stuck by all that, and they figure out a way, I believe, due to the love and confidence that you surround them with, to make shalom between all these different elements, and there's harmony between their own body and soul. That's nachas. That's nachas. There was once a Rebbe we had, he said, whenever he wanted to scare us, like, אתה רוצה לתת להורים שלך נחת? תשב בשקט. Like that was I still have it in. You want to give your parents nachas? Sit quietly. That's going to give my parents nachas? So he ends this beautiful paragraph like this. He says, Habriya gashmit kfi shehi. The physical creation, the material creation, the way it is, kibla mashma'ut pnimit umeira. It received an illuminating and inner meaning. Ulezeh ikri neshama beguf betachlis hashalom. This is what it means. Soul living a body, betachlit hashalom, in the highest state of peace. The highest state of peace. Kevan shekach, since that's what was happening in the headquarters of the world, in the Beit, what we call Beit Abchira, Beit Hamikdash, shesharar shalom ben haruchani legashmi, that there was peace between the physical and spiritual. It's not just that it happened in the Beit Hamikdash. What were we feeling? What was the simple Yid experiencing when that was happening in the Beit Hamikdash? Af hayta da'ato shel Yehudi shleva. That it means that this is like a dream. It sounds so simple, but it's like who wouldn't do anything to achieve what he said right now? Da'ato shel Yehudi hayta shleva. You know what shalev means? Yeah, same thing. Serenity, right? What did you say? What did you say? Serenity. Yeah, serenity. My da'at was calm. My da'at was calm. Sve'at retzon v'simcha, satiated with will and happiness. Now look at these next four words. Yehudi ahav et hachayim. Each Jew loved the life. They loved life. I think that the greatest nachas we would ever get is if we asked our child, what do you think about your life? And they said, I love it. That would be the greatest nachas in the world. That our children, not how good or bad I'm doing on anything. But if they said, what do you think? I had this conversation. I was so nervous to ask one of my children, and recently I did. I said, what do you feel about, with this whole thing of like called Olam Hazeh? Oh, Abba, you're getting so deep again. That's what always starts. Like, no. Okay, let me ask you again. What do you have to say about your life? Yeah, loving it. They said like that, just like that. It was a moment of, it's shleimut also, Shleimut. And when they don't say that, they don't feel that, and you don't feel threatened by them saying that and start going through your old guilt trip, but you just, with them in that moment, it breaks your heart in a very important way, and it brings you closer to understand who your child is and who you are as well. But in the time of the Beit Hamikdash, when that was happening, when there was harmony between Guf and Neshama in the Holy Temple, we were living, Am Yisrael, living in Eretz Yisrael, loved life. We loved being alive. Now, look, we're in the midst of mamish. This is choshech. This is choshech. We're witnessing gvura ila'ah, but there's so much choshech around us. I think we have to push ourselves to say, I love life. No one loves waking up in the morning and reading the news. No one. No one loves going to sleep at night knowing they're going to wake up in the morning to read this. No. There's very little that we could actually really allow ourselves to say, I love life. I love the concept of life. I love the ideal of life, right? But the confusion and the meshuganas on the highway that are constantly trying to knock me off the road, I don't love that. Who loves that? Who loves the fact that there are people in the world that are that absolutely are doing everything they can to cause a discord and unalliance between body and soul. There are people that are I have to share this with you. Yesterday morning was Meir Banai's yortzeit. Yesterday was his yortzeit. It was his 7th yortzeit. I've talked about it many times over the year. So yesterday, I went to his askara. It's a very small askara. I came to a mashtum minyan. I'm very close to some of the family. So I went in Har Menuchot. I could stand pretty close as a kohen to where it is. And his cousin said, he shared that when Meir was on his deathbed, he was suffering from cancer, lo aleinu, and he said, "Ani pashut lo mevin, lama yesh Putinim ba'olam." That's what he said. I don't understand. How could there be Putins in the world? Vladimir, yeah. Like he's saying, yeah. Right. So that was basically why how it came up in context that's exactly why the cousin brought it up at the kever yesterday. Like some people it's like for us a given. Like, oh, this is just part of, this is always going to be. Like, this is just life. No, that's not life. That's the anti-life. The fact that it's already being recognized that these are figures and people, that it's like, this is just the fabric of creation. That's not at all lechatchila. It's not ideal. But it's nothing. It's nothing. The world is filled with people that are working so hard that so many other people won't be able to say, I just love life. I love my life. And so he says over here in the time of Beit Hamikdash, what existed in the world, Jews loved life. Pashut, we loved being alive. Even though today, okay, I know we also love being alive, but you understand what I'm saying. Yehudi ahav et hachayim, because it was a life, bahem ma'alel nachat ruach l'Hashem yitbarach. Because it was a world where I knew that my constant activity and the harmony and the merger between physical and spiritual brought nachas to Hashem. Ma'aleh nachat ruach LaHashem. התחבר אל מציאותו ולא חיפש לברוח מעצמו. Every Jew connected to his or her own reality, and there was probably no 12-step programs going on because no one was escaping. No one was running away. Can you imagine it? No one was running away. היו הנשמות שמחות בגופים שבהם שוכנו. Wow. Souls didn't just make shalom with their bodies that they were placed in. They actually, he says here, they were happy to be residing in the body that they were placed in. והגופים עלזו בהיותם משכן וכלי שרת לנשמות, and the body was so humbled and honored that my job here is to basically be a dwelling place for the soul. The body didn't fight the soul wasn't braggers with the body. There was harmony between the two. The person woke up in the morning, there were mirrors, we already know there are mirrors, obviously from the time, mirrors is like one of the early inventions that we know, like that were already around in the time of the Torah. Remember in the story with the women? And so there were mirrors there. Therefore, like a person, imagine this, would wake up in the morning, let's say I had a mirror by the front of the tent or whatever, and there was no like, looking at yourself like this, or just this side of you, or from here up. The whole image, right? The whole package was like, wow, another day that this is a mishkan for the neshama, and the soul wakes up. Well, the soul, it doesn't really wake up, but the soul's there. And when you wake up, and the first thing the soul says was, let's go do it again today. Let's go bring nachas again today. This was the reality that we were living with. Shalom Bait zeh, this type of now that's, again, he calls that Shalom Bait. That's Shalom Bait. Shalom Bait zeh, he'ir batim u'nefashot, it shined through homes and souls, lekayem v'shachanti betocham betoch kol echad ve'echad. This is the meaning of the pasuk. And I dwell in you, in each and every one of you. In each and every one of you. Well, if that was happening, what was Yerushalayim like? If that was taking place emanating from the Beit Hamikdash, what was Yerushalayim like? Hayta Yerushalayim ir hasimcha mesos kol haaretz. It was the divine beauty and splendor and simcha of the whole land. Mekom oz vechedva, a place of strength and of chedva and of joy. Now he says something very interesting over here. Lo hayu mechashbim ba cheshbonot. Yerushalayim wasn't a place where any accounting was taking place. Now there was still an element of accounting that had to be done in any society, but even then, they wouldn't do it in Yerushalayim, because even then when you have to work too much with doing calculations, you don't even want to give a chashash that somehow something could stir someone the other way. So therefore, they used to go outside of Yerushalayim, lachshov cheshbonot. Isn't that amazing? Ki ben chomotea hayta ach verak metziut romema shel simcha, because between its walls, there was this one reality, an elated reality of simcha, benas yagon va'anacha, and no yagon va'anacha. We say that in Zmiros, right? Yagon is agony, anacha is krechtzing. I don't know how you say krechts in English. Huh? What's krechts? Moaning. Yeah. Anacha. Do you have? I have a different version that you. Do you have here then in small print Amar Rabbi Yochanan? Okay, let's read this for a second. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is from the Midrash Shmos Rabbah. Kipa shel cheshbonot hayta chutz liYerushalayim. The accounting firm was right outside of Yerushalayim. V'chol mi shemevakesh lechashev holech lesham. And if you have to like really exert your mind a bit too much, you'd go over there. Lama shelo yichashev b'Yerushalayim vayetzar. Shelo yichashev b'Yerushalayim vayetzar. Lifi shenikret mesos kol haaretz. V'kol hashevach hazeh lama she'ir kriyat melech rav. Umishecharva areva simcha v'gala mesos kol haaretz. I just wanted to read through that, but in briefly, what this midrash is telling us is that Yerushalayim became this place where it's just Masos Kol Haaretz. Masos, there was a girl, my daughter in Tiferet's class, her name was Masos Lev. I love that name. From here, yeah, Masos Lev. I don't know where she's at these days, but Masos Lev. Masos. It's like this exuberant joy. And if you had to counting and all that, even if it's holy things, he's not saying bad things, but even holy accounting, even that is we don't even keep that in Yerushalayim. Even that has to be outside of Yerushalayim. You keep, Shalom Bait. That's where that has to be taking place. Continue with the description. HaKohanim Meshartei Hashem Hem Shenivcheru La'asok Behashchanat HaShalom Ben HaGashmi LeRuchani. Who were the people that were basically the mumchim, the chacham, the real wise people, to make sure that this harmony was taking place? The Kohanim. Ben neshama laguf. What about the Kohen? I mean, who's the best example for it that we know? That would be the one that was really like in charge to bring Shalom Bait? Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen is the master of Shalom Bait. So the Kohanim, his children and grandchildren from his seed, they continue in the world, and their job is to continue having the element of Shalom Bait taking place not just between people, but also on a grand scale between Hashem and our people, between the body and the soul. What would the Kohanim do? Holchim hayu yechefim. The Kohen would be walking barefoot. Chasufei regel. Why? Because margishim al besaram et admat Hamikdash. They had to always feel on their feet, on their flesh, the grounds of the Beit Hamikdash. This is so beautiful. Such a beautiful description. What's that? They're the first hippies. Yes. This is like the height of being naturally connected to the actual ground that contains the kedusha of Am Yisrael. The body is the eretz, right? And the Kohen is the neshama. So it had to meet. They had to feel each other. The feet that carried the neshama of Am Yisrael had to be connected to what was, carrying the whole picture of Am Yisrael, which is the land of Eretz Yisrael, Admat Kodesh. Just so beautiful. Bivchinat shal na'alecha me'al raglecha ki hamakom asher ata omed alav Admat Kodeshi. And this is exactly why Moshe Rabbeinu was told, remove shoes from your feet, because what you're standing on is Admat Kodesh. So in our mind, it's like, so we have to act more kovedik. But you would think that more kovedik would actually be to put another pair of shoes on, right? Saying, no, Kodesh in this world is chibur ben guf leneshama. That's Kodesh. So this place is so holy over here. Make sure that you're feeling it, that your mamish feeling it, that you're connected to it.
Were the Levim also barefoot?
I don't think so. Hainu lechaber ben adama la-adam. Connect between adama, the land, to Adam. Hanikra kach mishum adame la-elyon. This is beautiful. Adama and Adam obviously come from the same word, right? But that word doesn't just mean blood. It doesn't just mean man. It doesn't just mean land. It means ledamot, to be likened. Adame la-elyon. I will be like the supreme. The Kohen, go back to the Kohen. Yadam achza besakin umazrek v'kli sheret. Imagine the Kohen, look at his hands when he's in the Beit Hamikdash. It's like a surgeon. Mamash. He has so many different utensils and vessels going on, and knives and whatnot. B'sumanek toret, he has all the incense. Be'atzei besamim, and the fragrances. Be'atzatat eshu gechalim, he has to light the fires. Be'mitziltayim betof ve'kinor, maybe that's what he's referring to, the Levi's drawing from there. Also, what mitziltayim are? The cymbals, yeah. It's the cymbals, and there's a drum, there's a harp, there's a violin. Ba'achila shekulo kodesh, the Kohen, you have to give from your korban, eating to the Kohen. Isn't that a weird thing? The Kohen, he's the tzad, he doesn't eat. No. He's so in this world. He is the one that can take food and bring such harmony between the body and the soul of the food, of every item. And he elevates it. Ba'achila shekula kodesh, ubishar ma'asim gashmi'im shehe'elu et habriya tachtona v'ishkinu shalom bena leben am Yisrael. And this is what his whole life was all about, elevating this low world, making shalom bayis between what seems to us to be so mundane, so not holy and not special, and making shalom bayis between that and the soul. V'hu tafkidam, that's their job. Biotam zera kodesh la'aron HaKohen. They are the eneklach of Aaron HaKohen. Shaya mitasek kol yamav ba'ashchanat shalom beneshama laguf. This is what Aaron HaKohen was busy doing all the time, making harmony between the body and the soul. Hi ha'avat shalom ben abriot, making shalom between people. Lechabram u'lelokdam. connecting them together. Liot bishlemut mashpia mekabel ele im ele, that each person plays a role of I have something to give you and I have something to receive from you. And when people are working like that each person knows I have something to receive from you and I have something to give you, that's shalom. That's why there's so much shalom right now betoch ha'am, because of our chayalim. Because you go to a chayal and they come to you, and this is happening with every person that I'm meeting that's either coming in from the States or even when I'm down there with them, it always happens. You say todah, and they really don't know what you're talking about. They really feel like you come, you bring them a barbecue, you bring them gifts, you come and give your thanks, and there's such a mashpia and mekabel energy that even though they know that what they're doing is the holiest, they feel that what you're doing for them. I saw a woman this week that I was with from Los Angeles that came and gave a bunch of pictures that kids drew in Los Angeles in a Jewish day school, and she was giving it out to Yonah. She was giving it out to all these chayalim. So a guy came out of Gaza after God knows how long, right? And here he is, and he sees there's a little girl in Los Angeles thinking about me. I'm telling you, he received just as much as we felt on the receiving line of their gvura. That's shalom bayis. That's harmony. That's harmony. It's an amazing thing. Now, wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that just a gorgeous description, right? So, a question that keeps on resurfacing in all of our classes is, then what happened? How did that stop? Why did that stop? How could it be that stopped being the reality? If that's so chazak, if that's so mutzak, if that's so solid, how could that ever stop being? How could it ever stop being? Well, how could what we're experiencing within the Am already begin to dwindle down a little bit from Motzei Simchas Torah? How? How could it be? What do you think the reason? Forget about Beit Rishon. Talk about now. How could it be that, I said the word, the shalom that's in the Am, there was a sense of a little bit of skepticism in that word, in that expression, not just by me, by your cringes also.
There's existence out beyond the walls of Yerushalayim. There's existence beyond the front lines. And when you're in the thick of it, when you're pushed to the extreme, you're going to, I'm filled with gratitude for every little bit of light and connection. But when you go back into the habits and the routines, then it's harder to feel that.
Which is probably a reason why we have Aliyah Regel. Because they keep on connecting us.
Oh, that's very good. That's why Aliyah Regel. Yeah, that's very good. That's very chazak. So, it's like I don't want to continue with the learning because the next two words are, I just want to be like, that's what was, and and everyone just, I don't want to go there. But we're gonna go there just l'shem right now, making sure that we learn from mistakes. Okay, so just a few. Even she does not want to go there. What a geula dika child. She does not want to go there. It's okay. So we're only going there in order to again make sure that we're learning. We're just learning from the mistakes. We're just gonna go a few more minutes. Beram churban nora. When we speak about destruction, when we say the word churban, we always use that word to describe that there was a Beit Hamikdash, there was a building that got destroyed, right? That there were walls, there was a structure, and it was burnt down, right? But really, a tremendous churban happened before the physical walls came down, and the churban is called Hafrada ben guf le'neshama. It means a separation between body and soul. Now, in certain schools of thought, in certain places, the next statement would be maybe followed by, why are you mixing politics with Torah? But that's a satanic energy, because if Eretz Yisrael is politics, you may as well forget the whole thing. But you understand that if the whole notion of coming back to Eretz Yisrael is a chibur ben guf leneshama, that means there's harmony again between body and soul, and parts of the body are basically being exempt from being. Basically, you're saying, okay, I want harmony between body and soul, but I don't really need my right knee, but I definitely want my right foot. Well, wait a second. But how do you think you're going to have a foot if you're getting rid of your knee and have something even better? I don't need my right leg, my bottom, like my leg, between my knee and my foot. I don't really need that. I mean, it's too complicated to have it. But my foot I need, right? So how do you think there's going to be a body that can contain the soul if the body's not shalem? What's going to happen to the soul? What's going to happen? So I know this is taking it so, you think maybe the word would be like ideal, right? But isn't that why didn't we come here for the most ideal state of being? Like, wasn't the return after 2,000 years in order to achieve the most ideal and greatest state of being in harmony, peace and harmony between our body and our soul, our collective body and soul and a collective soul? Chayav liot, that's why. So what happened then is that the churban that took place caused that separation between the body and the soul, like he says, Beram churban nora hifrid ben neshama laguf. The soul was left completely uprooted, feeling the opposite of grounded in this world, completely removed from reality. Again, there's nothing that can contain it and receive it. Now there's not a place that could express the inner essence of what the soul is all about through actual actions in this world. Like the Beit Hamikdash was a place that the soul could be itself and express itself. And when souls can't express itself, that's agony. That's such pain. I'm going to try to be as vague as possible. There was one time a teacher that walked through our building and spoke, and I felt it was one of the strongest sessions we ever had. And after the session, I whispered to the teacher's, an old friend of mine, I said, I won't say exactly what I said because it's not that nice, but I could talk like that to him because we're old friends, but basically said, you're doomed. I said, why? I said, because there is no vessel. You know very clear that there's no actual vessel in this world for this to happen consistently, for you to be you, expressing yourself consistently. And they started crying. I was right. Meaning, the expression of this person's Torah was so profoundly deep and meaningful and to the point. And this person hasn't really found it yet in this world to have a mishkan, kavua, to get it out in a manner that the soul needs to feel expressed. And when the soul can't express itself, when there's not an ability for there to be shalom bayit between the body and the soul, everyone's hurting, but the soul is hurting much more. It's painful. Like I shared with you so many times how sometimes something could be clear in the mind of the teacher, in the mind of the Rav, in the mind of the mashpia. It could be so clear to them, but the inability to convey it in a manner that can be given over is torture. Torture. So we've started experiencing torture from the time that as a soul called Am Yisrael, we couldn't express through this world what our essence is all about. And that's hell. That's all. It doesn't matter if we were in Eretz Yisrael or not in Eretz Yisrael, for that matter. Like, we could have still been living here, but after the Beit Hamikdash being destroyed, it was almost in a weird way a nechama that we were physically exiled from the land. You know why? Because imagine everyone should have arichos yamim, and everyone should have very long relationships of holy love that last forever, but there is a Masechta called Gittin that exists in the world. And imagine that you experienced such love with the spouse, something happened. I don't know what. And it's not about whose fault it is either. But the decree was you have to come into the same house every day where all that love was experienced and continue living your life. But while all the imagery, all of it, always reminded you of what once was. So in a certain way, when you move, there is an element, there is some type of element of what we say, Mishaneh Makom Mishaneh Mazal, or out of sight, out of mind. So it's almost saying over here, like there was such oneness between the body and soul expressing itself, such harmony, and then that place was gone, but the Adama around it was all the same. It's almost like it was a consolation saying, listen, go far away, because being here without the ability to express yourself like you used to is going to be, you're still going to be in a state of torture. But this is torture, Sheba torture. You know, if you stayed here doing it. Yeah? That's the first and last time I'll ever give over that Galut was a little bit of a Nechama. Was a little bit of a Nechama at its time. Nachon. I'm sure it's not my Chiddush. I'm sure many people, I just never saw it before, but I'm sure that the Sfarim speak about this. So again, Biram Chorban Nurad Hifrid ben Neshama Laguf Hotir et Nishmat Yisrael Klusha Mikol Karka u'Metziut. שוב אין מה שיכיל ויקבל אותה לבטא את פנימיותה דרך מעשים ממשיים ומוחשיים. נותרה הנשמה כמציאות רוחנית שאין לה כלי וביטוי. The soul remains as some type of a spiritual entity that has no vessel of expression. ספק קיימת, ספק לא. Maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. Because if it's not expressing itself, it puts it into the realm of doubt. Am I really a soul? If nothing's coming out of the soul, if nothing's expressed by the soul, I start doubting, is this even real? Does this actually even exist? And thus the soul of the people of Am Yisrael over the years starts asking questions and inviting very dangerous questions into the mix of saying, is this thing even real? And those are very, very legitimate questions to be asked in a reality where the soul can't express itself. If something can't be expressed, it's going to start to doubt its own existence. And the body's schlepping along it, in such utter confusion and complication, saying, wait a second, I could express myself because I'm a body, I could still, knock on a table and build a building and build a shul and do all these things, but if the soul's not in it, working with me, what am I doing? Maybe this whole thing is for nothing. Maybe this whole thing is nothing. What is that reality? That's called Galut. That is Galut. That's the opposite of Shalom Bayit. That's mamash the opposite of Shalom Bayit. הצומח והחי הדומם וכל אשר עליו קמים ללא תכלית ברורה. All the elements of creation are all existing, but without a clear purpose. ממשיכים את קיומם מתוך כיסופים פנימיים. They continue its existence from an inner state of longing, but ולא ידעו אל מה ולמה. But they're not really sure for what. What is this all about? What is this all worth? Why am I working so hard to still exist? כל ארץ הקודש, מקום המקדש, שממה ותוהו. The headquarters of expression, desolate. Tohu. ארץ הקודש, ללא בנייה האסופים בה. The land without being built from those that are gathered with it. סליחה. ארץ הקודש ללא בניה יורית האסופים בה. So the land is barren, meaning because the land doesn't have its own children. כל נשמות ישראל מרחפות ומצויות בחלל אווירה של ארץ הקודש. So he's saying the souls are all merachef. What's that? Yeah, that was like a diss that teachers would tell us when we were not paying attention. Rachfan, yeah. I told you the most interesting comment I had when I made Aliyah in 4th grade is that a kid would say to me, that when they wanted to give it, Abba shcha astronaut, they would say. As in a negative way. I'm thinking, when we were kids, they took us, on our school trip to the NASA, that was like a astronaut. Like, wow. It's like, why are you angry when you're telling me Abba shcha astronaut? Like, and why my father? Like, Kol nishmot Yisrael merachfot umetzuyot bechalal avira shel Eretz HaKodesh. The souls are wandering and floating around in the air of Eretz HaKodesh. Every time I davened, 2,000 years, my soul is hovering over the Eretz Yisrael, over Makom Hamikdash. But really, Beram gufam nilkach lagalut v'na'asu pzurim. Mufuradim ben agoyim or ben kir'ei hanefesh umevuchotea. That's such an important end of a sentence. He says, we always like to say galut is that we became spread amongst the people, amongst the nations of the world. Like Haman says, Yeshno am echad mefozar umeforad ben ha'amim. But he ends the line here saying like this, it's not just that we got spread and lost ourselves and our sense of together because we went into galut and now we're in Iraq, we're in South Africa, we're in we're in Peru. It's not just that. He says it also gets lost. Ben kir'ei hanefesh umevuchotea. We also get lost between the places in my soul that are not b'shalom, that are ripped, that are not b'shalom, they're not working together. Umevuchotea. So mavoch, you know what mavoch means? Life became a maze. Safek kayam, safek lo kayam. Internally. He's saying internally, he's saying both, like physically and like externally and internally. Externally, it's very clear, wandering the Yidden all over the world. Who knows what's going on? But also inside over here is like there's a maze going on inside. And every single day, I ask the same question: will the real me please stand up? Every single day. Every single day. In the time of the Beit Hamikdash, no one had to ask that question. That's the difference. Huh?
If there was such shleimut in your nefesh, if there was such connection and the constant, waking up every morning being like, yes, let's do this.
Right.
What could
it's so interesting you're asking like that, because I'll tell you why. It's mamash, and we'll end with this, is that I try to make the Sunday and Thursday classes different, because I for myself, I also want it to be, for my own mind. And it started off very, very different. And Hashem said, no, because it is it's the craziest thing. It starts from here, and every week it's going like this. Every single week. It's different flavors, but I think it's because it's all about that, it's Rahmanas from Hashem to keep us focused, like we were asking, to stay focused on this question of, if it was like this, how did it not be like this? And the only reason we really want to know is not that we have better information, it's to make sure that it stops happening now, because it's happening now. So that it stops happening now. We've offered a few different approaches to that question. We're gonna continue to answer it, but first let's understand what the result was, so that we can understand why we also feel like we're in a maze, and it's because we are longing for our souls to have a place to clearly express itself, so that there could be shalom bayis in this world. Eretz Yisrael is meant to be the headquarters again, where my soul can express itself, not just that it could sing a song. I want to talk about the most physical expression of it. The most physical expression of it. Like, that's, a child is a physical expression of love. Or you could say, well, I love so much, I just want to connect it in the soul world. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to work on life or bring children to the world. Let's just stay in the olam ha-neshamot. That's not real shalom bayit. That's just the soul. It's the whole avoda here is, again, to bring a bria chadasha, a completely new creation that never existed before. And we'll know it when we feel. We'll know that it's happening when we feel mamash b'shalom, the way that we long to feel all the time. We'll know it. It won't be confusing. We will know it. Right now, it's still confusing. This being the headquarters of the soul's expression in this world, still confusing. But we know we have moments of it where we feel like we are expressing it. And in those moments, we have to make those borders, the gates much, much wider. And we'll continue to understand like your question and to get back to like what's waiting for us and how it's already starting to shine its spark now, Bezrat Hashem.
To have shalom bias between guf and neshama and galus consistently?
Well, wait. I just want to explain something. This is the $1 million question. When you say, don't get mad at whatever the answer is going to be, okay? All you Bnei Akiva and experiment. When you say in galus, what are you referring to?
Now, during this time
Where?
we're meant to be living in...
Where? Where's galus?
Like the location?
Yeah.
Oh, here, right now.
You know what kind of dagger that is to so many of the chevra in the room? Yeah? Well, hopefully less and less over the years of our learning, but you see, this is, you're touching upon such an important point here. It's, you
No, I don't feel guilty. I think it's...
no. No, God forbid, we're trying, l'shem limud, to really mevarer something.
Like, everyone constantly is to try to have that shalom bias between both.
100%. The difference is that in America, when I build something, as holy as it is, I don't really have this expectation for it to work perfectly in unison, body and soul.
Right.
Here I do.
Like, you're saying it's meant to be that way here.
Well, what's meant to be that way here?
It's meant to be. The shalom bias between...
But
in America, meaning we always know we're missing something, but here we're not meant to be missing something.
The point of coming back home here was not to build anything in the manner that we built it in Chutz La'aretz. So therefore it hurts so much more when things are built in a way that's not really containing within it shalom bayis. So the state of galut, until the Mashiach comes, of course it's going to be there. But again, in galut, I left the home that I was married, in the first marriage. I had to get out of there, it was too painful. But now I'm told, no, my Kodo Didofek, the one I loved so much that I thought was done with me is actually sending me hints that they want to reconcile, they want to get back together. So we come back, we're starting to build the home together, but it smells a little bit like the beginning of the end of the first marriage. And that traumatizes the soul. It doesn't traumatize me outside of our first home, because that's why I was there in the first place. But in our first home, in the location of our first home where it once was, to be under the impression that, we're getting back together, and then seeing all these, wait a second, I thought you were done with that habit. That drove me nuts, and you knew about it, and you promised you'd change. Like all these triggers start driving me crazy. So therefore, here it hurts so much more, because that's not why we came back here that's not the method of why we're building here. It's not the point, not the purpose. Here it's about shalom bayis. I think in physical galut outside the world, we accept the fact that we know this isn't where we're supposed to be. So I already accept within that the notion that it's not supposed to be perfectly shalom bayis. But here, the whole thing is, but that's why I came back here. I came back to this country to build it in a manner that's everlasting and that has perfect harmony between the two. And when I see that that's why it hurts a million times over. Does that address your question?
Because in a way, I feel like it sounds like from what you're saying that it's almost the definition of galus, like the thesis of galus is that shalom bias between guf and neshama will always kind of be elusive until the Beit Hamikdash, until we have that.
Correct. 100%. But you feel it so much more the closer you are to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
You feel that pain so much more.
Yeah.
And you make so many more mistakes the closer you are to where you're about to get to. And the shaila we have right now is, how do we hold on and stay as focused as possible despite the bumps? I'm not belittling anything that's going on in the world, but despite the real insane bumps, how do we still hold on tight and not get too riled up thinking that we made a mistake by trying to reconcile this marriage?
I think it's also a very huge responsibility on us being here because
מה את אומרת, זהבה? מה את אומרת?
coming outside saying you just went back to that house and you're in the same exact place.
מה
You
את
gotta stay
אומרת?
away.
מה את אומרת?
It's dangerous.
Yes, you somehow began to express my soul in the last few seconds. This is what drives me. You just described everything. What you just said. But I'm so optimistic because we have a whole new world of gvura to receive all the strength in the world to be determined. That's the gvura of today's Maccabim. We have more light and more gvura to lishov, to draw from, to be the heroes that we need to be from the heroes that are right now. Our chayalim and chayalot. So we'll continue Bezrat Hashem on Sunday, but this will continue next week on Thursday. I think there's a new order of books coming in. I think they found in the back of the Beis Midrash a little stack. So if so, I'll be getting them.